Hello there. Welcome back, gamers. This will be a beginner's guide for the Ranger class, a long-range DPS class with two very different playstyles to choose from. Full disclosure, all information on this class will be based solely on my opinions and mathematical skills. For this reason, I will add edits to the video description below when I become aware of better methods. If you want more detailed guides on these classes, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell to turn on notifications. And for the inside scoop on my content, come see me on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram. So let's jump right in, guys. Alright guys, we're ready to start learning some of the nitty-gritty details of the Ranger class. But first, I must remind you that all of this data was gathered over 10 to 15 hours of testing and calculating, sometimes near other players and their buffs, and is not going to be exact in measurement. Please comment down below if you have any issues on the guide, and I will do my best to reanalyze and edit the description to meet standards. So let's start with the basic mechanics of the class. The Ranger is outfitted with a Ranger Trap, essentially a snare that when triggered will immobilize one enemy for 30 seconds, also rendering them unable to attack. Any damage taken while trapped will free the enemy from its binds, so be careful when using poison arrows, for the tick damage will deactivate this trap. The cooldown of your Ranger Trap is 45 seconds, as indicated by this icon here. Note that the snare will not work on every opponent. The bow itself has a few mechanics to be aware of, so let's get into it. Being a ranged class, it is important to be able to attack from as far away as possible. Shooting targets at longer ranges can be made easier by raising your bow, drawing your arrow past its stopping point to your full reach. Use your arrowhead as an iron sight and aim accordingly. Know that your arrows will collide with other players. While attacking, weak spots will appear on your enemy every 5 seconds. Landing an arrow on one of these will increase its damage by 20%. Landing a charged arrow on a weak spot will activate it twice, giving a 40% increase instead. Holding an arrow at full draw for 2 seconds will cause the arrow to charge, adding significant damage. This can only be used every 6 seconds as indicated by this icon, and should be used as often as possible. Landing a charge arrow will also mark your target for 30 seconds, increasing the damage it receives from all sources by 5%. This will affect all of your ability arrows as well, but only after the debuff is applied, so make sure to land a charged shot before loading special ammo. To fully utilize the Ranger class, you'll want to pay attention to your globes. Filling one globe will add 8% damage to your arrows. At 5 globes, this will yield a 40% increase to your damage. You can fill these by landing attacks from at least 15 meters. A globe will be removed if you miss a shot, shoot too close, or go 5 seconds without a long-range attack. There is a counter here, displaying the rating of your shot. The rating is proportional to distance and enemy size. If you get a rating of at least 50, 2 globes will be filled instead. The super for this class can be earned quickly by landing consecutive or long-range attacks. Activate by pulling both triggers, increasing your bow damage and causing your ability arrows to spawn faster. Now for the ability arrows. There's a term I'll be using during the video called basic damage. This refers to the amount of damage you do when your level 5 talent is not yet chosen. So let's start with the piercing arrow. This arrow has a 6-second cooldown and adds significant damage, making it a great choice. It may be worth more testing, but I believe this ability will add less damage if used as a charged arrow. So for maximum potential, make sure to fire these separately. This arrow should yield a 667% damage increase to basic damage in the precision tree at maximum fill meter, and a 426 to the rapid tree, which is also affected by the fill meter. Next, the spread arrow. With a cooldown of 6 seconds, this arrow, when shot, will spread 4 basic arrows horizontally. The direction and speed are determined by the orientation and draw. These arrows deal a bonus of 11% basic damage each, adding up to a 440% increase, a bit lower than the piercing arrow. The spread arrows can activate weak spots and land as critical hits. The fire arrow. This arrow has a very long cooldown at 30 seconds. It is also your only AoE attack. Wherever this arrow lands, it will make a damage over time zone that attacks 6 times. Each tick will land as a 59% buff to your basic damage, totaling to 854% per enemy inside its radius. These ticks can land as criticals for a 50% damage bonus. Another very important arrow, the poison arrow. With a cooldown of 12 seconds, this arrow will place a damage over time debuff on the enemy, dealing 8 ticks of your basic damage plus 72%, coming down to a 1288% increase. These can also land as criticals. I know this sounds like a lot, but with the increased cooldown, the damage output comes about to be the same as the piercing arrow, maybe a little bit more. And lastly, the darkness arrow. With a cooldown of 30 seconds, this arrow is used to create a cloud of smoke in the area it strikes. In PvE, this is purely cosmetic, as enemies can still target you within the smoke. But in PvP, it can be used to quickly bamboozle other players. Now for the most important part of the class, choosing the right talent tree. There was quite a bit of debate as to which side of the class could maintain more damage, the precision side or the rapidity side. So I have compiled a chart of each ability interaction and compared both sides to the basic damage of the class. This chart will be shown and explained after the details of each talent tree. At level 5, you're given a choice. Let's see what rapidity does to our class. The focus of this tree is firing very quickly and making your arms really sore. Choosing this talent will lower your basic damage by 10%, but will activate the blue fill meter for this class. This meter will fill as you fire arrows quickly, adding up to 10% base damage at full meter fill, which will also affect charged and piercing arrows. Once the meter is full, a fire rate of at least 2 arrows per second should be maintained to keep the meter from falling. To match the damage output of the precision tree, a fire rate of 3 arrows per second must be maintained, but remember to fully draw each arrow. Choosing your talents wisely will be important for this class, as the two playstyles require very different skill trees. Let's go over the rapid talents. First, at level 10, we start building our rapid class with the rapid charge talent. This will allow us to charge our arrows more quickly, so that we don't lose any fill meter, and we still get our skill on cooldown quicker. The next talent will be multi-shot. This is going to add a small chance, maybe 5 to 10% chance of any arrow having an extra 30% damage. When firing arrows this quickly, you can gain quite a bit of extra damage. I haven't gotten to play at level 20 and higher yet, so some of the data I scoured may be outdated. So at level 20, both talents are viable, but I prefer overcharge. This talent causes charged shots to consume all of your active globes, gaining 15% damage per globe. This maxes at a 75% increase in damage. Firing quickly at close range can deplete globes quickly, so this will allow you to utilize them before that happens. The final talent for the rapid tree will be Needler. This is a great addition to both trees because it makes weak spots appear every 3 seconds instead of 5. This will allow them to cause more damage during battle, but additionally, if targeted within 1 second, the weak spot bonus is raised from 20 to 35%. A more reasonable playstyle is offered with the precision talent. This skill tree for the ranger is dependent on well-timed shots and long-range attacks. I recommend this talent, and I will explain why after I compare the two sides of the class. Choosing this talent will also yield a blue fill meter for your class, but this one operates much differently than the rapid fill meter. Your precision meter will fill quickly on its own, resetting when it is full or when an arrow has been released. The goal is to loose arrows when the meter is as close to full as possible. This will be indicated by a vibration in your controller, just before the meter reaches full. Firing when the meter is full will yield a 230% bonus to that arrow's damage. Firing at lower fill will lower your damage, but firing with at least half will still yield more damage per second than the Rapid class at full meter. The optimal fire rate for the Precision class is 1 arrow per second, but firing 2 arrows per second, aka 50% fill, will add almost equal damage, so as long as you time your ability arrows to a full meter. Remember that spread, poison, and fire arrows are unaffected by this meter. The talents for this tree will vary with different play styles, group player counts, etc. So let's start at level 10. If you play solo, improved charge can boost your survivability in battle. This will cause your charged shots to slow enemies by 35% for 2 seconds. This is great for initiating battle from long ranges and having more time to gain globes and set your trap, allowing you to back up and slow them once again. Alternatively, for team play you can choose Rapid Charge for more DPS, but remember this can cause accidental charge shots when waiting for the bar to fill, as well as less time to back away and fill globes when playing solo. At level 15, Arrow Sight can be chosen for a 10% bonus to damage at over 30 meters, as well as an extended arrow trail for help aiming consecutive long shots. If you don't plan to fight at long range, you can always choose Multi-Shot to gamble for some extra damage. At level 20, Globe Master will add a 6th globe, and allow long shots to award 3 globes at once. This means a possible 8% bonus to long range attacks, and a faster charge rate for globes at long range, allowing your damage to stack more quickly. Once again, at shorter ranges, overcharge will be viable to quickly expend your globes before they decay from close range battle. And at level 30, we are given our final talent. If you choose the left talent at each opportunity, critical aim will substantially increase your damage output. Weak spot size will be increased, and hitting one from over 40 meters will award a 50% damage increase. Assuming you are able to hit the weak spots, this can cause utter destruction when mixed with full globes, full meter charged piercing shots on marked targets. If you aren't a fan of long range battle or aren't confident with your accuracy, you can still get considerable extra damage from Needler. Just remember that your meter charges every 1 second, and you only have a second to land the shot for that 35% bonus. So you only get 1 chance to hit the weak spot. So we've talked about all this class has to offer. So let's see how the two sides stack against each other. If you made it this far, you deserve a treat, so here is all of the info we have gone over so far in plain text in case you need a quick reminder. I have compiled this chart to accurately compare the damage of each ability compared to the basic damage of the class. It is worth noting that on the precision side, 3-star refers to a meter fill of 50 to 90%, 4-star is 90% and above, until 5-star, which is a full precision meter. All of this data is slightly variable, as it was obtained near other players, and the Ranger class damage actually fluctuates slightly between battles. As you can plainly see, the precision tree will always outclass the rapid tree, because arrows must fire 3 times as fast to keep up with the precision damage, and your abilities will not be available 3 times as often to make up for the lower damage output. So in conclusion, even when firing quickly, the precision tree shall be recommended for anyone trying out the Ranger. If you still aren't quite confident enough to jump into Orbus and start ripping off arrows, allow me to demonstrate some simple, plausible gameplay for the precision tree. I have chosen the piercing and the poison arrows for high single target damage. From long range, I will fire a charged arrow at full meter to aggro the enemy, also slowing them with the improved charge talent. I will lay my trap and back up to keep distance as I continue to build globes and land ability arrows. Once the enemy is trapped, I can continue to back up as my arrows recharge and then repeat the process. Make sure to utilize your fill meter and globes as much as possible, and don't forget to keep firing those charge shots every 6 seconds. It's a lot to take in, but in time it will become natural. And this is to fully utilize the class. You aren't required to play at such intensity to be a viable damage dealer. If you're still interested in rapid-fire gameplay, here are a few tips. When possible, fill your meter before battle to have the 10% bonus active. Loose charge arrows quickly to utilize your fill meter. And fire your ability arrows immediately when their cooldown is over. Thank you for joining me for this ultimate guide. It took me quite a while to organize all of this info, so if you enjoy the guide, leave a like and comment below your favorite ability arrow and why. Come back next time for another detailed guide from the Junkie.